Конечно, ничего здесь хорошего и приятного нет.
As for the economic side, I repeat once again, there is nothing good or pleasant here. But if we look objectively and professionally at the economic side of these sanctions, what do we see? Currently, the United States produces about 13.5 million barrels of oil per day, ranking first, followed by Saudi Arabia with about 10 million barrels, and the Russian Federation in third place with about 9.5 million barrels per day. But the US consumes 20 million. They sell some and buy even more, mainly from Canada. So, they produce 13.5 and consume 20. But the Russian Federation and Saudi Arabia sell more. I may be mistaken about something when it comes to oil and petroleum products, but Saudi Arabia sells about 9 million tons of oil and petroleum products to foreign markets, and the Russian Federation sells 7.5 million tons. In other words, our contribution to the global energy balance is very significant. And now this balance has been established in the interests of both consumers and producers. Breaking this balance is a very ungrateful task, including for those who are trying to do it. Why? First, I should say that, overall, production is currently at a standstill. Of course, it is possible to replace some of Russia's oil and petroleum products on the global market, but not all of them, as that would be impossible. Second, it requires large investments. Recently, for the first time, we heard from the International Energy Agency that it is proposing and encouraging economic actors to invest in hydrocarbon energy. Until now, everything has been the opposite. There has been talk, including within the International Energy Agency, that we need to invest in alternative energy sources. Yes, we do, but it has become clear that we cannot do without hydrocarbons in the coming years and decades. This is obvious as consumption grows. The global economy is growing, and energy consumption is increasing. So, it is not possible to increase production sharply at the moment. But if the amount of our oil and petroleum products on the world market decreases sharply, prices will rise. My American colleague US President Donald Trump and I also discussed this. What will this lead to? It will lead to a sharp increase in the cost of oil and petroleum products, including at petrol stations. And the United States is no exception. If we consider the domestic political situation in the United States, it is clear how sensitive some processes will be in this regard. Those who advise the current administration on such decisions need to understand who they are working for. But that's not important. What is important for us is that we feel confident and stable, and despite certain losses, which will of course involve many circumstances, our energy sector nevertheless feels quite confident. I hope that this will not lead to serious changes in the global market. But I agree with the International Energy Agency that everyone now needs to think about investing in traditional types of energy. We are doing this and intend to continue doing it. If, in the end, we move away from pressure and towards serious discussions about the future, including in the economy, there are still many areas where we can work together. We are generally ready for this, but as we can see, it depends not only on the Russian Federation, but also on our partners, in this case the Americans.
As for Ukraine using Western long-range weapons, how do you personally assess the contradictory signals coming from Washington? The Washington Post and Wall Street Journal reported that the U.S. had lifted a key restriction on the use of these weapons. Then Trump said that Tomahawks would not be supplied after all. And just an hour ago, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said again that Ukraine would receive weapons with a range of almost 3,000 kilometers. In your opinion, is this an escalation?
This is an attempt at escalation, but if they use such weapons to strike Russian territory, the response will be very serious, if not overwhelming. Let them think about that. All the best. There's an ambush here.
Yesterday, we heard yet another new statement from the U.S. President Donald Trump regarding either a meeting with you or not meeting with you concerning the Ukrainian crisis. Almost simultaneously, American sanctions were imposed against Russian oil companies. Today, the European Union imposed another wave of anti-Russian sanctions. Now, toilets, motorized toys, puzzles, and tricycles are banned. How can you comment on all this?
The cancellation of acquiring our toilets will cost them dearly. They will be needed in today's situation if they continue with the same policy towards the Russian Federation. What can I say regarding the statement of the President of the United States? In the last telephone conversation, both the meeting itself and the location were proposed by the American side. I agreed with this, expressed my thoughts in this regard, and said that such meetings definitely need to be well prepared. For me and the American president, it would be a mistake to approach this lightly and come out of this meeting without the expected result. I must say, the US president fully agreed with this and said that on their part, a number of officials from the current administration would work on preparing for this meeting. He named some of them. In turn, I said that after the American colleague determines the final list of those who will work on preparing our meeting, we will also announce who will work from the Russian side. In the first stage, undoubtedly, the first steps in this direction should be taken by Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation Sergei Lavrov and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. This is what we decided. I am familiar with the statement that the US president decided to cancel or postpone this meeting. Most likely, he's talking about postponing the meeting. What can I say? Dialogue is always better than any confrontation, any disputes, or, especially, war. Therefore, we have always supported the continuation of dialogue and still support it. Now, regarding the new sanctions. Firstly, there's nothing new here. Yes, they are serious for us, of course. That's obvious. They will have certain consequences, but fundamentally they will not affect our economic well-being. It is known that during his first presidential term, President Trump imposed the largest number of sanctions that have been imposed against the Russian Federation until then. Of course, today they have two aspects, purely political and economic. What is meant by the political one? It is, of course, an attempt to pressure Russia. But no self-respecting country or people ever resolve anything by pressure. Russia undoubtedly has the privilege of feeling and considering itself in this list of self-respecting countries and peoples. This is the first point. The second is the purely economic component. If we talk about the political part, it's certainly an unfriendly act towards Russia. It's an obvious thing. It does not strengthen Russian-American relations, which has just begun to recover. Of course, with such actions, the US administration damages Russian-American relations.
In a world where business never stops, Mint keeps you ahead, any screen, anytime, from studios to the ground.
Mint is doing brilliantly well. It's a well-read page, I would think.
Mint breaks down business, leadership and lifestyle, boldly, visually and smartly. From boardrooms to markets, from personal wealth to industry trends, we bring you the insights that matter. What fuels India's biggest CEOs? Ride along and find out. Want to invest like the pros? Learn from India's top market experts. Your money, your future. We make finance simple. Step inside breathtaking homes and the creative minds behind them. India's real estate scene decoded. No jargon, no fluff. Some chase success, others create it. Meet the ones who made the impossible possible. We don't just talk business, we show it. And the world's watching.